Chippendale Rescue Rangers is out, and despite its initial trailer getting mixed reactions, it's actually turned out to be a pretty fun movie. I have no idea how they smooth talked their way into getting the rights to everyone who showed up in this movie, but let's take a look at 25 things you may have missed during the mountain of cameos that was this film. Hey, it's Patrice, and as always, spoilers ahead. First off, this probably won't constitute as something you missed, but we have to talk about what everybody's talking about, as it's probably generated more buzz than the movie itself. Yeah, I'm talking about the return of Ugly Sonic. I love how that's his unofficial moniker now, as if he would be called anything else. Out of all the cameos present in this film, Ugly Sonic was definitely the most surprising, as most people assumed this would be a version of Sonic that would never be shown to the public again. You know, if Jeff Fowler knows what's good for him in the movies. So how exactly did they pull this cameo off? I mean, even knowing the Disney Empire is powerful, it isn't all powerful, I think. Voiced by I Think You Should Leave star Tim Robinson, Ugly Sonic was brought to life after Paramount and Sega assumingly gave the director Akiva Schaffer permission to use the character in the film. Unfortunately, in an interview with Polygon, Schaffer revealed that he couldn't speak as to what went down with the licensing for Ugly Sonic, meaning some important stuff probably happened during the making of this deal. What we can conclude is that both Sega and Paramount were both well aware of the negative reactions to Sonic's teeth since the movie got to poke fun at that piece of horror. Even though Schaffer couldn't reveal what went down with getting the rights to Ugly Sonic, he did reveal that all the other bajillion cameos in the film were relatively easy to land. In another interview, Schaffer states that all it took was getting their lawyers to ask, and a couple days later they would come back and be like, hey, they're cool with us using My Little Pony. So they ended up getting all these cameos from Disney and everywhere else, except the main 5 members of the Mickey Mouse crew. Out of everyone who showed up in this film, Mickey, Minnie, Pluto, Goofy, and Donald were all left out. And that's because we all know Disney isn't the biggest fan of their mascots being parodied. At least, you know, when they have the power to stop it from happening. Schaffer did, however, lean very much into the world of Chippendale, as seen by the classic title reveal being redone in the movie. Alongside that, there were also numerous references to the actual episodes of the original Rescue Ranger series. We see the episodes RoboCat, Short Order Crooks, The Perfect Crime, and more as the camera pans through Dale's VHS collection. Ellie also mentions the episode When You Fish Upon a Star as inspiration for solving the crime of the missing tombs. Additionally, there are multiple fake episodes mentioned, key among them being Mission Chip Possible during the Mission Impossible inspired laser beam scene. Oh, and in this film's universe, Chippendale lasted over 300 episodes. But you know, in our reality, there are only 65 or so episodes in its original run. The original voices of Chippendale also make 2 quick cameos in the film. One when the 2 chipmunks are arguing, and another during the Double O Dale flashback. In these quick cameos, the voices gradually return to being the squeaky and high-pitched voices that we know from the original run. What's cool about these moments is that the original voice actors, Tress MacNeille and Corey Burton, reprised their roles as Chippendale respectively. MacNeille and Burton also came back to voice both Gadget and Zipper, giving the classic voice actors a huge role in this reboot. That's not where the nods to the original team ends though. As one of the co-creators of the classic Rescue Rangers television series, Tad Stones also has a cameo. During the flashback sequence when the chipmunks get the phone call that Fire starts their career, the guy on the other line asks if they would like their own TV show. The man on the other end of that line is voiced by none other than Tad Stones, a reference you'd only catch if you're familiar with the voices of the important people who worked on animation during the 90s. I say this because Tad Stone's contribution to Disney animation doesn't stop at Chippendale. He also worked on Darkwing Duck, Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, and the Atlantis TV series. Along with the original creator appearing, we also get a look at some official Rescue Rangers merch when we see Dale's garage dedicated to all things Chippendale. Of course, some of these items were made specifically for the film, like the cologne, but some of the few real items included numerous Chippendale Rescue Rangers game cartridges for the NES, all the VHS episodes I covered earlier, an actual Chippendale lunchbox, and Chippendale hats from the Disney theme parks. I'm pretty sure at this point all of these products are worth a good chunk of money, so if you happen to still have some classic Rescue Rangers merch lying around in your attic somewhere that doesn't have any sentimental value to you, I strongly suggest you check them prices on eBay or Amazon. Moving along, there are also multiple Toon themed products spread throughout, just to liven up the human and animation melting pot of a world this film takes place in. We get a glimpse of Mighty Mouse Vegemite, frozen food with Foghorn Leghorn from Looney Tunes, frozen vegetables featuring Frozone from The Incredibles, Ice Age ice cream, and Moana themed peanuts. Of course, none of these are real, but they're all fun takes on products we're all familiar with. This one's not a cartoon, but Chip is also rocking a Knight Rider lunchbox, the 1982 sci-fi series starring David Hasselhoff. None of these products would sell well in this universe without good advertising, which is why there are multiple billboards promoting other fictional products, services, and movies with even more cartoon cameos. Most notably, there's a Gucci billboard starring Dobby from Harry Potter as the model. We also see a new Doug movie seemingly called Funny and Pork Chop, which this one was real, a Johnny Bravo Fitness Center ad, a billboard for Waze the movie based on the navigation app, most likely poking fun at the Emoji Movie here, and one more movie promotion for a Lego Miserable, which I also wish was real. But what is real is Who Framed Roger Rabbit's influence on this film in more ways than one. The creators obviously went the 2D animation live action hybrid route like the classic movie, but in an interview with Discussing Film, the screenwriters say that the entire movie came out as a way to pay homage to the 30-year-old film. With that being said, elements from Who Framed Roger Rabbit make a good amount of appearances, starting with Roger Rabbit himself during the dance party scene, his wife Jessica Rabbit being mentioned while Chip and Dale get into their argument, the Toonie cars making quick appearances all throughout, and a quick reference to the infamous dip that was used by Judge Doom to take out Toons. A couple of older, more obscure Disney characters also have cameos, starting with Clarabelle Cow, who appears as a school teacher, and Horace Horsecollar, who is superimposed into a scene from the 1952 Abbott and Costello show. Okay, these two might not be considered obscure, but I brought them up because they're definitely not in the public consciousness like Mickey and the rest of them are. Like, ask anybody if they know who these characters are, and they probably won't know. We also see Willie the Giant from 1947's Mickey and the Beanstalk, the Three Little Pigs from the 1930s Silly Symphony series, and Felix the Cat in doll form floating down the sewer. A bunch of Muppets also make cameos, most notably the bakery dude turned cheese dealer, who is one of the highlights of this film.
Stinky cheese? You cops.
Also during the credits, we get a quick glimpse at Muppets that look eerily similar to those from the Don't Hug Me I'm Scared web series. And this was the moment I realized this movie was not made with kids in mind, but they redeemed themselves by giving Sesame Street's Elmo a cameo a few seconds later. It is only the back of his head, but hey, a cameo is a cameo. When Chip and Dale make it through the bootleg machine mostly unscathed, they discover a wall consisting of body parts of multiple cartoon characters, which is pretty morbid when you really think about it. Some of the character parts that can be seen are Jimmy Neutron's hair, Sora's Keyblade and hair, Groot's head, Dragon Ball's Shenron, Pink Panther's mouth, Samurai Jack's sword, Jiminy Cricket's hat and umbrella, the Real Monsters, Ickis's mouth, Mr. Potato Head's body, which probably makes the most sense out of all of them, a Smurf hat, the legs of Dora the Explorer, and the gloves of Dexter's mom from Dexter's Laboratory. And that isn't it for the bootleg characters either, because once Chip and Dale defeat Peter Pan and free all the other victims of the bootleg trade, a bunch of actual characters can be seen making their escape. A few of them that I was able to catch were Fred Flintstone plus Bigfoot from the Goofy movie, a bootleg Patrick Star, Toucan Sam, a Woody Woodpecker plus Casper bootleg, Samurai Jack, Abu plus Diddy Kong, Phineas, Naruto and Master Roshi, Jiminy Cricket plus Finn the Human, bootleg Dipper, bootleg Cheshire Cat and Tigger, Gumball, and a combination of Bambi and Pegasus from Hercules, which was actually really cute, not gonna lie. Dale's failed series called Double O Dale is actually a super deep cut reference to the animated series that was never picked up called Double O Duck. The series would have starred Donald Duck taking on a James Bond inspired spy persona. Unfortunately, it turned out that the phrase Double O was owned by the production company who created James Bond and the 007 films. However, the series wasn't completely scrapped because it would go on to start the Darkwing Duck series, but it would no longer star Donald and instead create a whole new character, obviously being Darkwing Duck. And speaking of Darkwing Duck, he makes an appearance during the cosplay convention at his very own booth, demanding his very own reboot. This could have been teasing the official Darkwing Duck reboot, as it was announced back in 2020 that there were plans to bring the character back to Disney+. Also, Darkwing Stan has a sign that reads Mandevil Films, the company who produced this film. So good on them for sneaking that little self-insert here. That dance party scene is filled with tons of cool cartoon cameos, as I've already gone over. But one of the coolest was the inclusion of Paula, Abdul, and Scat, who were DJs for the event. If you aren't familiar, Paula Abdul is known for being a pop and R&B artist who had quite a few hits during the late 80s and early 90s. The music video for her song Opposites Attract features the animated character Scat and is a 2D live action hybrid, so the two making an appearance in this film was just perfect, especially because she was big during the era of the original Rescue Rangers run. It wouldn't be a Disney produced film without some kind of reference to the Avengers, right? To be honest, it wouldn't be a ScreenRant video either. There are 2 Avengers references that I was able to catch during this film. There may have been more subtle ones, but the 2 I caught on to were the inclusion of Tigra from the 1999 series Avengers United They Stand and a Paul Rudd Ant-Man cameo, both appearing at the cosplay convention. Tigra makes sense to show up at this convention since she hasn't been brought up to the mainstream spotlight in years, and really only is signing photos of her appearance from the United They Stand series from over 20 years ago. Paul Rudd, on the other hand, not so much, as he's a little bit more relevant, at least when it comes to the mainstream. His cameo consists of him telling a fan that his character used to be Aunt Man, who had the ability to be really charming to aunts. The end credits also show Paul Rudd posing with a bunch of aunts. I still believe that this movie was not entirely made with kids in mind, considering all the cheese dealing bits, the inclusion of Don't Hug Me I'm Scared, and just the general addition of a bunch of characters anyone born after 2003 wouldn't recognize. And you know what, it makes sense. Chippendale Rescue Rangers aired in 1989, so a large chunk of its original viewer base are adults now. The production team 100% knew their audience. To add on to this, there are a bunch of references to adult cartoons. We see Randy Marsh from South Park in the sauna, a character in the style of the Netflix series Big Mouth, Butthead from Beavis and Butthead on a bench advertisement, and multiple Simpsons references. Adults will probably have much more fun with this movie than kids, solely because of all the recognizable faces and the borderline raunchy humor at some points. If you pause to read each of the bootleg movies that show up during the film, you'll see that the titles are very interesting alternatives to existing franchises. Starting with Matilda Fully Loaded, a reference to the 1996 film Matilda, Now That's What I Call Cartoons Rapping, a rip on the Now That's What I Call Music series, and a continuation of the Toon rapping jabs that the movie makes, a Bubblegump restaurant movie, Farm Beast, Pooge, which we see in production, Flying Bedroom Boy, Beauty and the Cursed Dog, Stupido the Elephant Baby, Jasper the Dead Ghost Kid, Weirder Stuff, a rip on Stranger Things, and my personal favorite, the Small Fish Lady. When Peter Pan gets blasted by the bootleg machine and gets turned into one heck of a final boss type beat, he becomes a combination of a bunch of different characters. Firstly, his Peter Pan torso remains the same. He now has Wreck-It Ralph's arm and shouts his catchphrase, "I'm gonna wreck it." His right leg is Woody's and his left Optimus Prime's. We can see he's rocking TMNT's Shredder's shoulder blade and has the face of Chippendale's villain Fat Cat. Also, when he does his roar, it's a direct reference to the scene from Jurassic Park when the banner slowly falls in front of the T-Rex. Again, during the cosplay convention, we see a poster that says Pirates of the Great Lakes, which is supposedly a spin-off of the Pirates of the Caribbean series that takes place in Michigan's Great Lakes. Honestly, it sounds like a really cool concept. I'd watch the hell out of that. This poster, much like the Darkwing Duck appearance, could be hinting at the next Pirates of the Caribbean films that are now in the works. My personal favorite couple of references that I've been holding back on are the couple aimed at Nintendo, which I'm really the most surprised was allowed to happen because, you know, Nintendo and Disney aren't really the best of friends. Despite the relationship between the companies, we see a billboard promoting a fighting game called Disney Afternoon Fight Fest, starring all the characters from the series that aired on the Disney Afternoon block. The promotion is obviously inspired by the cover art of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate on the Nintendo Switch. Another Nintendo reference was made during the Wall of Cartoon Parts scene where we see Pikachu's tail. Lastly, the bullet that Peter Pan shoots in his hybrid bootleg form is similar to the bullet bill enemies from Mario Brothers. Because it looks so different, I just assume that it's a bootleg version of the bullet bill. There's also more references to musicians and dancers from the real world. One being MC Hammer, with Dale wearing the same fit from the Can't Touch This music video, while he also goes ahead and does the iconic Hammer Time dance. The male stripper group, the Chippendales, is also referenced in the film. Again, not a kid's movie. Even though a large chunk of the references in this film are background elements that you would need to pause to catch on to, there are quite a few that are integrated into the film's plot. For example, during the climatic fight scene between Ellie and Captain Putty, there's a few references to the Terminator films of all things. When Ellie finds herself cornered, Captain Putty dissolves under a door and reforms in the same manner as the T-1000 from Terminator 2. At the same time, you can hear a riff of the Terminator's theme playing. Captain Putty is also defeated by being frozen and smashed, just like how the T-1000 is defeated in Terminator 2. And last but not least, director Akiva Schaffer makes an appearance in the film during the flashback sequence. His cameo consists of him actually playing the role of a director for an episode of the Chippendale TV series. His appearance can also be a nod to Steven Spielberg during that time period, as Schaffer is sporting a similar fit to that of Spielberg's. Listen, I don't care what anybody says, I'm glad that Ugly Sonic is back in this movie. I know Paramount has the first version of the Sonic movie hidden in a vault somewhere, and I just want to see what could have been, you know? This movie is probably going to be the closest thing we get to seeing what could have been. Anyway, did y'all enjoy Rescue Rangers? Did you think it was trash? Was it phenomenal or somewhere in between? And if you caught up to any other of the millions of cameos in this film, let us know what you found in the comments. Alright, that's all I got for you guys this time. And here's Sonic's teeth one more time.